Hello, everybody. Just let us know in the comments if you can see and hear us okay. I am the new Natalie, Natalie, Matthew. I was thinking about this before. I was like, what shall I call myself? I was going to put Natalie in the title, but I thought, oh no, I'll just because it'll look really odd. It's relevant now, but if someone watches this on YouTube in 6 months' time, like, what? Who's this guy? So I am joined by the amazing Hayden today.
Thanks, mate. I love that you keep putting amazing in front of my name.
You are good.
Thanks, mate.
Just wait for some comments if we've actually gone live. Jamie can see us. Hi, afternoon, Jamie. Anyone else on the comments? Are we live on Facebook? Just want to check it's all working okay, because I'm on
Jamie.
I'm on the new stream, so
Jamie can see and hear us all right.
Cool. I can see myself. That's good. We are live. We're live in the group.
Here we are. So we're live on Facebook and YouTube, yeah?
We're live. Yeah, we are. Give us a comment, give us a like, give us a share, all that good stuff. David says hi. Hi, David. Good afternoon. So we're going to have a bit of a chit-chat today, aren't we? We're just going to be talking about your business, what you're doing, all that kind of stuff. We were just discussing RA on my board on the back as well. Oh, Natalie's joined us from Florida. Hello, Natalie. I thought you were going to be asleep by now because you've been up all night and on a plane and stuff. But
what is it? 6 hours live? Is it 6 hours?
I think so. Yeah. What time is it, Natalie? There. Let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
Bobby's live. Bobby's in the live as well. Afternoon to you. Yeah, so we were just saying, weren't we? We were just having a little chat off air about my retail arbitrage. And I don't know if you can see in the background, it's one of my many backgrounds. This is my my map. And we were just discussing, weren't we, how I think retail's a bit of a it's a lifestyle, and you've got to want to do it, haven't you? Because you're not really into retail, are you?
Well, the thing, I've never really given it a proper chance. I thought I gave it a chance, but that's why I had some questions for you about it. It is a lifestyle. I think, to be honest, I just like any Amazon business model, I believe anything does work. Every model works, I think, on Amazon, whether it's big margins or small margins, it works. Because you can scale it up. My heart wasn't in it. I tried it. My heart wasn't in it. It wasn't in it to figure it out. I knew there was people like you that made it work. So
yeah,
I was just like, I had to be honest with myself and just say, look, it's not for me. So, but I'm interested to know how you do it for sure. 100%.
Yeah, well, I think it'd be worth putting a session together because I think a lot of people have asked me. But yeah, I was saying to you before, wasn't it? I do a lot of prep work, so I think the difference between kind of what I do and what other people do, I don't just go out and scan shelves and look at it. I won't leave my house or my office until I know that there's deals out there and it's kind of pre-stock. So I do a lot of background research. I'll go on to stock checkers and I make sure everything's there before I even leave the warehouse. So it's got to be worth it for me. And especially at the moment, the way fuel prices are, I know I've got a Tesla, but I do go around in my van and that's diesel and that costs a lot of money to run. So, you've got to make sure that it's worthwhile going, to make sure that otherwise you're just wasting time, money and effort, aren't you?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's what I found myself doing. But as I say, I've no doubt that it works really, really well if you put in the time to figure it out, or get the right mentors or something, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a strategy I've built up over many years to make it work. And I said to you, if I go away, I often go away for a week, and I'll pre-plan. I'll spend a day, maybe even 2 days, pre-planning my route. Like I'll real-time map it, so I'll go right. If it's what's the traffic going to be like at 4 o'clock, and I'll work all the traffic times in, because when you're out there, you've got a very narrow window. If you've driven, say, 200 miles, the shops are open from, say, 9 till 6. You've got a very narrow window to get as much in as possible. You don't want to be in a situation where you're going, oh, I wish I'd done this, or I wish I'd skipped that shop because there was nothing there, or I wish I'd gone straight to this shop because I would have skipped all this traffic. And it's little things like that, because there's the only difference between success and failure is time. There's everybody else has got the same opportunity, but it's about getting to as many stores in the shortest amount of time is the way to make it as effective as possible and successful as possible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I guess for me, I was quite adamant that I wasn't taking a certain ROI that was lower than what I was expecting, because I was like, it's RA, I expect a higher ROI. So as I say, I didn't know enough about it. I didn't know if the idea was to fill the van up with 20% ROI or just take the 40-50% ROIs and have less items. Do you know what I mean? You've got to know what you're looking for.
That is entirely dependent on your business model and your strategy.
Yeah.
And either works. Some people do big volume, low margin, and some people do less volume, higher margin.
Yeah.
Personally, I would advise people, certainly when you're starting out, to go for the higher margin. Unless you've got a team of people, then you want to be making as much money as possible in the shortest amount of time as possible. Therefore, you want to go for the higher margin items. I think when you start building a team, I know we'll talk about this because I know you're keen to start this as well. You then start, I think you sacrifice your margins more because you've got bills to pay, and you kind of look at, right, well, I've got to sell X amount of product to pay all my bills, and therefore I will accept these lower margin items because it's not a drain on my time, as long as it's still profitable for their time. You obviously value your personal time higher than those who work for you. It's not to be disrespectful, but you're obviously the owner of the company, and that's why you employ people. Yeah, you're the captain, and you've got to be as efficient with your time as possible, and not waste it, and your time is more valuable because you're the one that's got to be leading the direction of the business.
Absolutely. It's interesting, mate. Yeah, we'll talk about it. Who's with us then?
I was going to say, yeah, we've got a few people live with us. So Donna's on. Afternoon. Ahmed's on. Yeah, Natalie says it's so true. It does work for some, doesn't work for others. Like, I love it. I know Natalie doesn't like it. You don't like it. So just
it interests me. It's something that's always interested me, and I want to do it, but I just the lazy side of me is just like, it's easier to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
But I am interested in it, but more of like something that would just be fun. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's another thing. I make it fun, like if I go away for a big trip, I'll do like I'll make a longer trip. So, for example, let's say I'm doing Monday to Friday, could tag a weekend in there. So I'll go out, say, Monday to Friday doing MRA, and then we'll have a weekend in somewhere, or I'll just do like, say, 4 or 5 hours and then have a bit of time off. It doesn't have to be a complete slog. It's got to be enjoyable, because the beauty of RA is you get to see a lot of amazing places. So, and the business pays for it. If you're in a hotel, the business is paying for it. Well, there's no reason why you can't take a few hours to explore a town or a city or a local, whatever you're into, monument, museum, whatever it is you want to do. So I think making it enjoyable is all part and parcel of why people enjoy it and why people don't.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you persuaded me to go on a little 3-day trip or something just to test it out.
Yeah, I'll have to train you on how to do it. But I say, yeah, it's a total lifestyle and what people think. I know we've got a few other people on. So Ray's joined us, Alessandra's joined us. Yeah, Carolyn just said Natalie should be enjoying some time with Minnie Mouse. Yeah, I think it's just, is it too early there, Nat? I think you're a little bit early. She's too early she's been up all night. She was messaging me before, and it was like 4 a.m. trying to sorting this stream out. And I was like, why are you up at this time?
Yeah. We're still waiting for a picture of the bunny ears from Nat.
Yeah, we need to see that.
We need that.
Get that posted in the group. Anyway, enough about the RA. We'll come back to that later. But let's talk a bit about you, because obviously we've only got you for one session. So I think a few people obviously probably see you pop up in the group. You're very active in the group, but I know I've met you once or twice, just once, I think, at the meetup we did a few weeks ago. But tell us a bit about you, when you started, why you started, what is it that attracted you to Amazon?
Oh wow, all that far back, yeah. Well,
yeah, let's start at the beginning. Go on, and let's go right back to the beginning. What was it?
I forgot when I set my company up, but I think it was about 3 years ago, just coming up to 3 years, or it's just been 3 years. It was 2019. So I don't know. Yeah. But before that, what's interesting, that was before I actually started, I did have some sort of ties with Amazon, because I actually started doing drop shipping on eBay from Amazon. So I had a software called EasySync.
It's a bit risky, isn't it? It's a bit risky.
Mate, I had at one point, I'm going to say, I bet I had more listens than you, Matt. I had at one point, I think it was, I don't know, I can't remember, 75, 80,000 listings on eBay. I think it was about that, maybe even more. maybe like 100,000 listings I had. And then most of them wouldn't sell because they were ridiculously overpriced. But EasySync would just automatically, if someone bought it from my eBay store, I could pick the percentage increase that I wanted, and then I'll take the small cut in between, drop ship. Don't know if anyone's done it. I wouldn't advise it, but it's the people still do it to this day. But you need loads of stealth accounts and stuff like that. I've got a friend that does it. He does well, but God knows how he works it out. Anyway, EasySync automatically orders items from Amazon and then gets them drop shipped to your eBay customers. Sounds easy, sounds great. It lasted for about 3 months, and then it all sort of came crashing down because PayPal don't like it. Like if you've got any disputes like that. There was one day I woke up and I had 550 orders that EasySync. There was an error on the software. EasySync didn't manage to order them from Amazon, so I have to manually sit there and order 500
from individual orders.
Yeah, and I ended up like paying people to do that, and it was like, anyway, not something I was involved. That's how I started in e-commerce. Really, that was my introduction to e-commerce. And then
you went in at the deep end, then, didn't you? Really, you went in hardcore with the dropshipping.
That was hardcore. I was getting told I had like a coach that was helping me do it because he was doing well. But it just so happened that as soon as I started the business model, eBay started cutting down on drop shippers, and I was like, classic. They had been doing it for like 3 years, like with no issues. And then as soon as I started, typical, it sort of came crashing down. Anyway, I did that for like a few months, but then after that, I was at a speaker training course in Peterborough, and one of the coaches that was training me on speaking, which I was just doing for fun, because I enjoy speaking. He actually was an Amazon seller, and I was like really interested. I was like, no way, how'd you do it? And he was like, oh, I do something called online arbitrage. And I was like, oh, what's that? And he was like, oh, we just buy it from the UK. We don't have to import from China and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, amazing, really interested in that. So I signed up to his course, and then sort of learnt that way, and then just and then started out. I guess relatively slow introduction to it. I've talked to you about that, Matt. I always get a little bit overwhelmed trying to scale things up with one of my own tools, outsourcing stuff. I've always struggled with that, but I'm getting better at it. I sort of scaled it up slowly. Did OA for a while, and then sort of fast forward a few years. Here we are, I suppose, in ESA. With Nat, so that's sort of my journey, really.
That's amazing. It's an interesting journey actually, because most people obviously they start with the OA and then they kind of consider drop shipping later on when they kind of know the system. So it's interesting that you started with the drop shipping. Was it? So you said you learned from a friend, or was it someone you saw online?
He was a friend at the time. Yeah,
friend at the time.
No, we didn't fall out because of that, but we didn't speak anymore. Yeah.
I think a lot of people it's just a drop shipping. I know Donna says it sounds like a headache. It does definitely sound like a headache. It sounds like utopia, doesn't it? You don't have to have any product. You can just have all these listings, but there's so many risks that come with it. And
I think things like that, though, if you get them in the honeymoon period, they do work. Like for him, it did work. I knew his lifestyle was nice car, nice house, all because of that. But then luckily, he had saved enough money to invest in another business. As soon as I went into it, it started going. So I think stuff like that, they've got a really short lifespan, and it lasted for like a short period of time. Then it just blew up. You've got to have stealth accounts, like 15 stealth accounts to do it now. God knows. Don't ask me what stealth account is. I don't know the details of it, but yeah, you need to be undetected and like loads of VAs.
Yeah, way too much of a headache. So you're now on the bundle space, aren't you? That's where you're having a lot of good success.
Yeah. So it was really nice to sort of come across this, because I feel like I had to, just like any business, you've got to stick to it for a certain period of time to figure out what works for you. Like I was talking about RA. I'm well aware that can work in a big way, and that could have been my thing. My heart just wasn't in it. And if if you don't stick to something to figure it out, then you're not going to figure it out. If your heart's not in it long term, you're not going to figure it out. I did realise that I felt like giving up loads when I was doing OA, not because there's anything wrong with OA, but because I knew that it wasn't a long term strategy for me. I did it for like a year and a half, whatever, maybe even 2 years, can't remember. As I had some relative success of it, could have scaled it up for sure, but realised, as I said, my heart wasn't in it. So. But something wouldn't let me leave Amazon, not that I never thought about chucking the whole thing in. Maybe really floating thought, just, you know, when it wouldn't let me give it up. You know, it was just like,
Yeah.
you could, but I think there was too much success around me to give it up. There was too many people that I saw on YouTube, you know, like Facebook groups, everyone like you, like Natalie, everyone. You know, I was like, there's too much success here. You know, like for me to give this up. Obviously, I just don't know how to do it properly yet. I don't know what my way is yet. So I kept at it and then figured it out. I spoke to Nat, spoke to people, obviously, yeah, and then you know, eventually found the sort of model for me. But that might change. You know, I might not be doing this model forever. You know, I'm very interested in building brands and like scaling off Amazon as well, and just having Amazon as one of my. But I'm trying not to plan too much into the future, because if it's working at the moment, if I'm happy, if I'm scaling it, learning loads, you know, I don't like to overthink that stuff too much. But yeah.
That's really some really interesting points there. So obviously, like you said at the beginning, the OA wasn't working for you, and I think that's the beauty of Amazon, is that everybody on this group and the Amazon space does the same thing, but in a completely different way. And I think the thing is like, I do my thing and you do your thing, and if everybody did my thing or everyone did your thing, it wouldn't work, because there'd be no margin, there'd be too much competition.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really, really interesting point that actually the beauty of Amazon is that, and eBay and e-commerce in general, is that everybody can do the same essential thing in buying and selling online, but in completely different ways, and ways that work for them as well. So it's a really interesting point that you raised, and I like what you said about the success as well, because I know people don't know this about me, but when I first started, I felt like giving up. I nearly took a job as an estate agent, believe it or not. I started my business in uni, and I kind of came out of it, and I was a bit like, oh, I don't know what I want to do. Huh?
You would have been a good estate agent.
Do you think?
No, you're very personable.
I suppose. I don't know. Maybe it would have been. Maybe we should do it on the side. I don't know. But yeah, no, I nearly took a job as an estate agent really randomly. I got offered it, and I was just like, and it was funny because actually, I don't think I've ever told this story. And it was actually, I was in an interview, and the guy said to me, I showed him my CV and I showed him what I was doing with Amazon. He said, why are you here? I said, I don't really know what I want to do. And he said, but you don't want to do this because you've got this. And I would rather do what you know, running my own business than being an estate agent. And it got me thinking. I was like, actually, you know what? I don't want to be an estate agent. I just don't know what I want to do. And that's how I kind of came to Amazon. I mean, I always knew I wanted to be in business or sales. It was definitely a sales or business thing. I was like, Natalie says right move. Yeah. I think it worked out in the end, but I always wanted to know I wanted to be in sales or business. Was that like you? You always sort of knew that you wanted to be in business?
Oh, it's a really tricky one. I think no, I haven't. Not until the age of when I was like, I've always had an interest in business because I studied business. I've always had an interest in it, but I mean, I never knew that I wanted to start one. Maybe I got very inspired when I saw successful entrepreneurs, like, you know, like the YouTube videos, like all the people that are really successful, motivational speakers. That lights such a fire in me. Like, I get so inspired by successful entrepreneurs. I knew I was sort of getting pulled into it. And then after college, I was like, well, I was working at just at CAF or something whilst I was at college, you know, and then yeah, my manager there was trying to get me to scrub the ceilings or something in this CAF, which wasn't in my job description. You know, I was making coffee. She was trying to get me to scrub the ceilings, and I said, "Look, I'm not doing this." And she was like, "Well, you're gonna have to quit then." And I was like, "Okay, I'll quit." So I did actually quit. Like, I had no idea what I was going to do. Spoke to my friend that was doing gardening at the time, and we said, "Look, let's start a gardening business." And I was like, "Right, let's do it." You know, and I just went all in and started the business, and I haven't looked back since. And ever since that moment, that's when I thought, right, I'm never going back. You know, like, oh my God, I can actually work for myself. And that was when I was like 19. So ever since then, I thought, right, business all the way. But before that, I was very lost. But slowly realizing that I definitely wasn't interested in like a corporate job. And I wasn't massively intelligent academically, but I was very smart in other areas. You know, like streetwise, if you like. You know, like I knew that I was going to make money somehow, but I didn't know. I wasn't really sure how I was going to do it. But yeah, I don't know. But as I say, I've had loads of businesses, like 10. Honestly, loads and loads of businesses. Some worked, some didn't.
Definitely a born entrepreneur, then, aren't you? Definitely.
Probably. Yeah. I can't. Honestly, it makes me feel sick to the bottom of my stomach, the thought of like ever working for someone again. Like, and that's not to disrespect anyone that's working for someone. Obviously,
No.
I think, you know, you've actually got a much easier life in so many ways than me,
Yeah.
than us. Like, you know, there's constant like work, constant stress, constantly thinking about stuff. It's a bit of a curse in a way to be an entrepreneur, isn't it? Sometimes, you know, because like it's a bit of an addiction.
People think that it's all sunshine and roses, and it certainly isn't. There's lots
Yeah.
of pros to it, but I feel I'm very much like you in the sense I couldn't work for somebody. I
Mm,
could have a job where I was independent of everybody and I just kind of did my own thing, but I couldn't work for somebody. I'd say I used to work at Sainsbury's on the checkouts, and I couldn't stand it because it was so
mm,
micromanaged. Now as a business owner, I understand why it was so systemized, and that's why they are so big, because they
yeah.
have very tight systems. But at the time, I just couldn't stand being told literally where to sit and where to
Yeah.
stand. They were like, "You have to stand here because this is the rules," you know. And I just couldn't do that. And I was like, I have to
Mm,
do my own thing. And I kind of always wanted to be a business owner. You know, I never knew what I wanted to do. I never knew what business I wanted to run. But I was always like, yeah, I want to be a business owner,
mm,
and I'll just find something in business and see where it goes, kind of thing.
yeah. And if you don't want to do it, then I think you're going to really struggle. Like, you know, like really
Yeah,
struggle. I mean, there's some times where I had even years where I was earning hardly anything. Like, you know, I had a good business year, bad business year, good bit because I was floating around businesses trying to figure out what was for me, which I think's a fine thing to do in an early. But, you know, when your mates are in good jobs earning 40, 50 grand a year and you're earning 200 quid a month because you just started a new business, that can really knock your confidence. And it did affect my
yeah,
confidence big time, you know, like my self esteem and stuff. And I had to actually battle out of that, you know, which we can get into another time if you like. But, and that, you know, yeah, so it's you know, but something obviously I didn't for a second think about quitting that, you know, like, and it was never going to be work for someone else. It was always going to be it's not this business, it's another one. But a lot of people just don't think like that, and that's fine. So I guess that's where you're sort of born with it. But I don't think
yeah.
you have to be born with it. But I guess for the people that are, quitting's not an option. Quitting the business is an option, but quitting entrepreneurship isn't an option. That's, you know.
Yeah, totally, totally. I get that. It's like I say, I wanted to be in business. I didn't know what business it was going to be. Maybe I won't carry on with this business long term. I mean, I obviously will at the moment, but you know,
Yeah.
maybe I something else. I'll fall into something else, or you know, it's very interesting. And I've always say I'm going to be in business, but what that business will be or what that business will I'll make my name in, I don't know. Hopefully, it'll be the Amazon space, but who knows? Who knows?
Mm.
So talk to me a bit about what your kind of so it's got a feel actually I'll go back to a couple of questions because I know Carolyn asked, do you just do bundles? Is it just bundles you're doing at the moment?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And working, do you want to share figures? Don't have to if you don't want to.
Can do. I mean, not doing massive figures at the moment. I'm raring up to do massive figures at the moment, as I spoke to you about. I'm trying to get Matt to coach me. So if it's spare some time to help me scale up. But yeah, I've just been sort of at the moment, just as I said, I posted that credit card the other day, which was great. I got like 25 grand straight from. So I've got a few credit cards now ready to go. I've got I've been building up the bank ready to go. Just taking on another team member ready to go. I'm just sort of like hoping to get, like some more coaching or something ready to go, which is really important, I think. So I'm sort of raring up, like ready to go at the moment, and then I want to sort of scale it up. But at the moment, I don't know. I'm sort of floating. I seem to be floating around about 20k a month, but that's just from bundles, yeah. So the margin's much better than
But that's really important point that I really want to stress to people is that you might see people online in this space, maybe even in this group, who post huge figures, but it doesn't. The headline figure doesn't tell the full story, does it? And
no.
I'd far rather be in a business that was doing 20 grand a month and making good money,
Mm,
which I know you are, than be in a business with 10 million and making 10 pence because they're just
yeah,
everything is sold at cost just so they can have big figures. So, don't always chase the sales because I can tell you one thing for certain: more sales only equals more costs.
yeah,
And it doesn't always mean that more sales is more profit. It just the only certainty is that more sales is more cost. So,
yeah,
you want to have a business that's right for you and successful for you. Now, obviously, you want to grow, and we want to talk a bit about what your growth strategy is going forward. But like I say, it's not always necessarily more sales is more profit, which is I think is a big misconception.
yeah, 100%, 100%. But I'm well aware that the systems that I've got at the moment and the stuff that I'm working on a day-to-day basis at the moment are not going to get me to 100k a month. Like, no chance. Do you know what I mean? Like, my systems right now just couldn't take it. There's no way. I'm struggling right now because, like, bundles, everyone's like, oh, bundles are like the easy way out. You know, it's much easier to do it. And don't get me wrong, really great benefits to it, and I love it. Once again, it's not going to be for everyone though. Like, and that's not me trying to put anyone off. It's not going to be for everyone, but it is going to be for a big majority. There's a lot more admin that comes with it in certain areas, and that's what I mean. I think it's a harder model to scale potentially. Like prep centers, much harder. Like if you're with bundles, you've got to think about all the moving parts. If you need to get them to put 8 pieces into a box for you, like that's, and talk about stock that's left over. Like, have all the items arrived? They've got to check it. Is it ready to get prepped? And then you've got items left over. It can be, quite complex. So what I mean is, like, there's a lot of work that I'm doing at the moment to try and get the systems in place to scale to, say, 40k a month rather than 20k a month, if that makes sense. So, and that's what I'm tackling at the moment, really. Like, I could quite easily scale to sort of, I don't know, 30, 40 now, but I'm very, very cautious that you need the right systems to do that. Otherwise, it's going to sort of fall apart, I guess.
Yeah. Interestingly, we had a question actually. I think it was from Hanson, who said, "What is the key areas you plan to systemize first?"
Well, at the moment, I'm systemizing all the automation of so all the admin tasks that I'm doing at the moment. So my business manager, he looks after, say, like all the VAT side of things. So that's quite a big, all the VAT receipts, talking to liaising with the accountants and stuff like that, getting receipts from our suppliers and stuff like that. That's quite time consuming. That's one of the most time consuming parts, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
If you're doing multiple orders a day, that's quite time consuming. Some of them don't reply for ages, but it is easier than OA because they expect you to want a receipt in that sense. And then the next systemization part is obviously all the prep and the making sure that systems go out and stuff like that. So if you're doing bundles and you're using a prep center, there's a lot of logistics that go behind that. It's not as easy as OA. It's just not as easy as it. You can't just put them on the line and then just send them and then they prep them off. There's a lot. Until you've done it, you won't know what I mean. You've got to sort the systems out for that. And I don't want to be messing around with that all day and then figuring out what has arrived, what hasn't arrived, what's damaged, what's been sent off, what hasn't been sent off. Is that bundle ready to get prepped? Is it gone yet? That is like, I could spend a day doing that every single day, So I'm currently, that's my first port of call, sorting out all the prep, all the admin, with my business manager. He's getting really good at that. He's almost, I'd say he's about 80% there now. Next stage is me outsourcing, obviously, the other side of it, which is obviously creating new listings, because they're the two things that take up all my time. So creating new listings and then making sure that we're under control with the listings that are getting sent off, and maintaining what we've got, and obviously making new creations. They're the two things I'm trying to outsource. But then there's a load of admin in between that. So I'm going for the two big ones, and then I'm going to sort out all the admin in between it. But yeah, it is quite complex, it's just try not to get overwhelmed by it.
Yeah, I think you need a good number 2 first. Is kind of my kind of advice. Yeah. Somebody who is capable of doing a bit of everything, and then you can kind of slot them into an area depending on what you want to do, or you keep them as your number 2, and then you kind of fill in areas underneath them, and it's kind of like a nice pyramid with you at the top. You've got your number 2, your kind of right hand person, and then everybody else underneath. So I think that's kind of really important. I know most people who are you looking to get your own warehouse? Are we thinking that's the plan?
I spoke to Nat about that, so I do coaching with Nat. I don't know if I meant to say that, but yeah, Nat helps me with some coaching, and we spoke about that, and I will be getting one, but not anytime soon. Like, I'm not until I'm spending like, thousands monthly on prep.
Yeah.
So yeah, it won't be until we're sort of much further down the line that we get a prep center. So yeah, I don't know. Hopefully not for like a couple of years, really. I want to try and make it work without that.
Yeah, I know Natalie's just said a bundle prep center would make an absolute fortune. So anyone's looking for a business idea, if you want to set yourselves up as a bundle prep center, I think you'd make quite a lot of money out of this group for certain.
Absolutely, yeah. No, definitely. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
so
no, definitely in the near future, I can see myself. But at the moment, I'm sort of quite interested in doing some travels and stuff. Like, yeah. So.
yeah, one of my regrets actually, I never did any traveling. Just kind of fell into business, got the warehouse, traditional path. I think there was a lot less. I mean, prep centers they probably existed when I started, but they certainly weren't in any kind of like in the way they are now. So it would
Yeah.
never really been feasible. And it took me a long time to realize to get a good number two. That was one of the mistakes I made. I kind of got people because when you're a small business, you're so focused on costs, and I get that you
Mm,
want to keep everything as cheap as possible, and you kind of just get people in who are cheap,
mm,
and that's your big mistake because then what you end up doing is you end up splitting your time to basically not say babysitting because it's a bit rude, but essentially you're looking after them, you're training them, and that means you're then doing less, so your sales fall, and then what happens is you then go, I can't afford this person, so you get rid of them,
you're
and you
so
kind of end
right.
up in this cycle back and two. So that's why the first hire should be somebody who's going to be good, who can kind of hit the ground running. Perhaps they've got experience in warehousing or some kind of online management, and therefore you won't need to, and your business, rather than falling in sales, will grow in sales, and then that's when you can kind of build out your team. So that'd be my piece of advice for anybody who's looking to kind of recruit people. Systemize is not just to kind of get a cheap hire, but get somebody good who will be long term and be your kind of right hand person who's going to be there and eventually manage the place for you.
Yeah, you're so right in that respect, for sure. You said that to me the other day when we were talking, just me and you on the phone, and like, yeah, that's something that I need to look into. Actually, yeah, that might be a much easier thing rather than having 5 or 6 VAs looking after different areas. There's always something for you to do, even if you've got 5, 6 VAs. I think there's always something that someone isn't doing, and you've got to sort of, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe not. Maybe like Thomas Parkinson seems to have sorted it out pretty good. But yeah, I think you could have one person that works in the UK like you suggested that is literally like me, like another version of me that could overlook everything. Yeah, that's probably the most, if your business can afford it, the best thing to
Yeah,
do. Yeah.
exactly. And then the beauty of that is the business will completely run itself. It sounds counterintuitive, but actually, if you do have that person that you can basically go, oh, I'm going away. You can, rather than traveling and working, you can just travel. You can work if you want, but you can go out and go, well, my business is fine for, obviously maybe not long term, but certainly for a month or two, 2 months, 3 months, maybe even longer. Or you can just kind of dip in and do what you want while it's all being run properly in the
Yeah.
background.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. That's definitely an option we're going to have to go down for sure in the future. Have you got an MD or something that works for your company?
Yeah, I've got an operations director who kind of runs everything. Essentially, literally, they run the operations. So I'm kind of at the top with all kind of the sourcing and things like that. And then how it's setting up in our business is I'm pre listing, and then everything after that is done by my team. So I meet suppliers and I negotiate deals. And that's literally all I do in my business.
Right.
I help, and I help. Obviously, I do direction and implementing new changes and stuff. But kind of before it gets to the warehouse is me, and once it gets to the warehouse, I don't do anything in that process. I don't list it, I don't sell it, I don't do customer service, I don't pack it. Genuinely don't even know how to pack a parcel. So that's kind of how it works in my business. And
So
the beauty is I get to do the things I enjoy, and I enjoy the sourcing side.
yeah. So do you think can you see yourself doing that for the next 5 years, or do you see someone replacing you in your position?
I think somebody will replace me long term.
Yeah.
Certainly in the sourcing side, they'll replace me, and my kind of role will be even more higher up in terms of more of the direction and more of the relationships. So I'm basically going to spend my life playing golf. Is how I see my future.
That's crazy. Yeah, no, that is the best. I mean, once you've got it systemized, organized, then you can just do what you want, can't you? You can work on sort of like passion projects, which could be golf in your
Yeah,
case.
yeah, exactly. I don't even play golf, but I just can see that's going to be the future.
Yeah. If
A
I
lot of
was in
business
your
is done on the
position,
golf course.
yeah. If I was in your position, I think I'd definitely get someone to replace me. But it depends what you want, doesn't it? Like you seem to really enjoy it, but I would have someone replacing me, and then I'll be working on another company probably
Mm.
to expand my income even more, and just probably a new challenge. But who knows?
Yeah. That's again another benefit of getting a number two is that again you can leave that business to run itself, and then you can go and pursue another business, and that's what I think entrepreneurs do. You can have a nice bundle business, and then they can all be nicely run, and then you can go and do your private label.
Yeah,
And then once you've done your private label, and you can, I don't know, build your own website or whatever your plans are, build another private label brand because you've got that brand running, and you got a team that's running that brand, and do you know what I mean? You just keep growing and growing and growing, and that's
yeah,
how you become really wealthy, not just successful, but genuinely wealthy because you've got multiple business providing multiple streams of income.
yeah.
And
That's
it
definitely where I want to go. Yeah, just multiple brands. Yeah,
and it's really enjoyable as well because it's more to manage, but it's less risk,
mm,
because you've got more streams of income. People think, having just Amazon is keeping it small, it's nice and safe. But actually, if you've got 5 or 6 different brands, if something happens to one of them, you've still got income stream for 4 others or 4 other businesses and things. So it's a nice way. I'm always passionate about diversifying, related diversification. I don't think people should be an Amazon seller and then go and set up, I don't know, a gardening business unless you like gardening at the same time, because it's completely unrelated. I think people should run related businesses and they should all complement each other.
100%. There's a quote that stuck with me, and I was reading a book called Life Leverage not long ago, and there's a quote in there by Warren Buffett that really stuck with me, and it said, "Keep your main thing the main thing." That was what
Mm,
Warren Buffett said. It's his most famous quote: "Keep your main thing the main thing," like throughout your whole life. Because then, just like what you've just spoken about, once you master it, e-commerce isn't going anywhere. Like
no.
property is not going anywhere. Whatever you're going to master, keep that main thing the main thing. So that was always the mistake I did by chasing multiple different industries, completely new industries, completely new companies, and then I was not sticking to that main thing. Now I'm always going to stick to e-commerce as far as I'm aware, my main thing. Multiple brands, whether there's services within them brands that I'll offer in the future, I don't know. But e-commerce is going to be my main thing, and then I can invest in other companies on the side,
And
invest in
you're
on the side.
complementary related.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but keep your main thing the main thing. From one of the wealthiest men in the world, one of the best investors in the world, that advice. And that really stuck with me. Just keep your main thing the main thing. So
Yeah, definitely. I'm just going to read a couple of comments. I know we've got a few comments. So David said, you got to have healthy margins for having a warehouse route. High rent, staffing cost takes a large chunk from day one. Yeah, totally. And not just that as well, but the beauty of having high margins is that you're protected from bumps. Amazon puts the fees up, you've still got the margin. The cost of
mm,
packaging materials, cost of fuel goes up. You've got that buffer when you're
mm,
down to pence on the pound. You're making 20p on a £5 sale, and Amazon increases the fee by 5%. That's gone, and you're now potentially not even making money, but losing money. So
yeah,
yeah, high margins are definitely really, really important, and I think that's why you like the bundle strategy, and the bundle strategy is definitely working for you.
yeah. I mean,
That leads. Oh, go on.
no. I was going to say no. There is higher margins, but you have got to account for other costs as well. So it's not because the volume, for example, is like if I stuck to O8 and didn't pivot over to bundles, I could be doing a lot more volume right now. Potentially, I don't know. I don't know. It's tricky to say. Like there's two pros and cons of everything, isn't there? Like sometimes like in my slower things, I'm selling much less, but the profit is much higher per item. Doesn't always. I don't know. It's interesting to know. Like my revenue would be a hell of a lot higher now if I stuck with OA, but my profit's much higher now doing bundles. So yeah, I don't know. It depends. Yeah, there's a balancing act there, isn't there? It
There is
depends.
a balance in that, yeah, definitely, and it doesn't mean that one is any better. It's
Mm.
literally a lifestyle thing. It's what suits you and your style and what you want out of it. Not just if
I
you don't
used to
want to
think,
run a massive business.
yeah, genuinely, I used to think. I think when I started, I was like, bundles is better. I genuinely thought it was, but I think I was just a little bit naive to think that it is because, like, don't get me wrong, I personally think it's better for my circumstance, 100%. Amazing opportunity. But people, once again, are referring to him, like Thomas Parkinson. He's done millions in the UK now. And as he said in his video yesterday on his live, even if he's doing a 5% margin with OA, like doing millions, that's hundreds of thousands of pounds a year.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
so yeah, it's what you want to do, isn't it? And the investment that you've got, the experience that you've got, resources that you've got, I suppose.
Yeah, I know. Sean's made a comment. If he ever makes it big enough for a warehouse, and a manager to run it. He wants to travel up and down the UK, drop a van full of stock off at the warehouse, and keep traveling in hotels. Yeah, that's sounds like what I do.
Yeah. You were saying you did that before. Yeah, I've definitely
Yeah.
I want to give that a go, just to go and see some things.
I think the beauty of the RA side though is you can build up good relationships. It's very personable. I'm always one of those people. I hate Zoom calls like with a passion. I hate phone calls. Obviously, I do them, but like if someone said to me, you can drive 2 hours to meet this person, or you can ring them on Zoom. I drive 2 hours because I just like meeting people
100%.
face to face. I don't know what it is. I just don't feel it's the same. It's as genuine when someone's on the phone.
Yeah, 100%. I just crave that human interaction. You sounds like you're the same. When we were talking on the phone the other day, you were like, "Yeah, you come up to the warehouse," and I was like, "Oh," we were just having a quick call on the phone. It was good. No, it's good. But that's what I like as well.
Yeah, I know. I definitely prefer meeting people face to face for certain. Dean asked a question before as well. He said, "How have you scaled your business, and what techniques and methods have you successfully implemented to grow?"
I don't know. I wouldn't really say that I have scaled it yet. So it's tricky to say. I mean, I have compared to a lot. You know, there's a lot of people that have just got a couple of bundles. I think I've got like 15 now. Some of them are doing a lot. Some of them are not. Some of them sell like hardly any. Some of them sell a lot. Actually, I'm launching like 5 at one time next week after. I don't know. Yeah. So I don't really think I've scaled it that much at the moment. But to get to where I've just been trying to think a little bit bigger. I think a lot of people really procrastinate, and you've got to at the start. You know, like when I started, you don't know what you're doing really. You know, so it took me like weeks and weeks to launch the first one. But then now I'll sit down of an evening and I'll launch a new one in an evening. You know, I'll get the keywords, sort it all out. You know, figure it all out, and I'll make the prep listing, order all the stock, and I've created a new one in the evening. I've got to wait for the stock to arrive and then launch the listing. But I have done it in an evening. And I think not procrastinating is probably the fastest, how I've managed to have the fast growth, and obviously taking the risk, because I did take that risk and pivot completely from OA. You know, I pivoted completely straight away overnight from OA, and a lot of people aren't willing to do that. So I think I did take the risk, and I didn't procrastinate basically. Everyone procrastinates, but now, you know, if I see 5 ideas, I mean, it may not be the best advice because, you know, you've got PPC and stuff to, you know, think about when you're launching these products. You know, there's going to be a big ad spend on PPC. But I'm launching 5 products at once just because I want to do it. It's just a challenge, you know, like it's something that I want to do. I want to say, look, let's do it. Let's launch 5 at a time. What's the worst that can happen? So it might not be necessarily for everyone, but yeah, thinking a bit bigger and not procrastinating is what I'm trying to do. Yeah.
That's really interesting. I think people shouldn't beat themselves up about procrastination. It's everybody does it. It is a thing. It's just being aware of it and minimizing it, isn't it? I think it's really important. Because often you procrastinate, you get upset that you've procrastinated, so then you're procrastinating by being upset that you're procrastinating, and I think you just get into a cycle where you never actually just get on with it. So I think you know, you've got to accept it's a part of life. You are going to spend 3 hours on TikTok, but pull that aside and crack on. Don't just dwell on the fact that you spent 3 hours on TikTok and then get upset. You know,
no, it's so true.
I think, yeah, it certainly is, and it's definitely a way. You know, as when you grow the business, and I know you're going to grow this, your time is going to become more and more valuable, and you want to waste less and less of it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, as I say, it's just I've just been saying to myself, stop thinking so small, like, and you know, and it is a real struggle. I think it's most people's problem, like, is the thinking too small. You know, like some people don't understand what I mean by that, but most problems do go away when you think a bit bigger. Like if I had, for example, yesterday I had slow. Do you see what I mean? Yesterday I had slow sales. Let me explain. But if I had double the listings, my sales would have been absolutely fine. You know, because I've got double the listings, I would have had double the sales. So rather than focusing on the low sales, don't get me wrong, it's still a hurdle I'm getting over because they still affect me. But now I'm getting much better at it and thinking, right, don't focus on that. Focus on launching more. And then this time in 2-3 months, I'll have double the listings, double the sales, and, you know, double the problems, but I'll have double the sales and the business will be more stable. So
that's a great point as well about the sales. I know people get really wrapped up. You know, you look at it. I think we had this conversation. You look at it and
Oh,
you go,
I've
I've had
had
a
issues. Yeah.
week of low sales. It's horrendous. The business is over. Doesn't
It does
work.
feel that way. Yeah, it can.
But then if you look back at how many sales you've made this year, last
Mm,
year, the past 2 years, you don't
mm,
think. I bet you don't think about the bad week you had last year. You probably don't even remember it. It's probably
yeah,
not even a blot
100%.
on your memory. At the time, it's very easy to start panicking and worry and go, "Oh, what am I going to do?" You know, the sales are really low. Sometimes you just got to ride it out. Sometimes, particularly when you're on a platform, it's external. There's not a lot you can do. You have good sales, you have bad sales, and I think the key is to keep focused and look at the journey, because you know it's a graph. It doesn't go up like this. It's up and down, up and down. It's not just a
Yeah.
straight line. Your success.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, great point. Yeah, my logical mind knows that's the right answer, but my illogical mind and my emotions just take over. They just consume me. So, as I say, that is something that I'm getting better at, but it has always affected me. But as I say, it won't affect me for much longer because I know that we'll be at that next level. And as long as you
Yeah,
know, although we have lower days, I think Matt, your low day is probably £2,000. Do you know what I mean? Like 2, 3. I don't know. I'll just guess it's probably 2 or 3 grand. Where some people that are at a lower level, their low day is zero or 200 quid,
yeah,
and they can't
yeah,
afford to run the business on that. So that might be the differences in like, you know, I suppose it's sort of like it gets easier when you grow because you know that you're still making good money even if you're in a dip. I don't know, but yeah, that's something that yeah. So what would you do? What would your thought pattern be if you had low sales for 2 weeks, just for people that struggle with the low sales mindset?
First thing I'd do is I'd look at your history, look at your sales history, and look at your bad weeks in the past, and think back and go, actually, it's not a big issue. But
Mm.
part of the problem scale is we focus on today's sales, this hour's sales. I bet most of us have already refreshed the app 5 times today, looking at how many sales we've made in the past five
I
hours.
had to delete it because it was too obsessive. Yeah.
You obsess over the sales, the day to day, the hour by hour.
Mm.
It's been an hour, no one's bought anything. It's been 20 minutes, nobody's bought anything. I'm going to go out of business. And you've got to think, like you say, bigger. I know
You've been there,
there's a
haven't you?
great,
Yeah.
I've been there. Yeah. There's
Yeah.
a great interview with, I think Jeff Bezos, and he said, we don't plan for this year. We plan for 5 years. You know, we're already 5 years ahead. And what's
Yeah.
happening this year was planned 5 years ago. And you've got
Mm.
to think in that kind of time scale and that kind of context of, it's not just now. You know, if your sales are low for months, then obviously
Yeah.
you've got a business problem and you need to address that. But
Yeah.
if it's just a week, just ride it out, especially when there's a lot of external factors on, you know, at the moment that we've got to consider. I know Sean's just commented as well, so it was a very good point actually. If you are having very kind of extreme sales, you know, very high highs and very low lows, go broaden your inventory a bit, you know, go a bit wider with your sourcing, because if you've got more products and there's more chance of making more sales, it's all statistics. It's like me with my RA. If I hit more stores, I will have more success because it's just a numbers game. And same
Yeah.
with your listings. If you've got, like you said, if you've got more listings, you're going to make more sales, you know.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Not necessarily have to have more inventory and more money, but just spread that a bit thinner.
Yeah, 100%. And also the categories as well. Like for me, I'm very much like in one niche really. And I thought I made the decision earlier that I was like, you know, I'm going to not stick in this one niche just because it's some niches are much more sort of, you know, they depend on events throughout the year and they depend on like seasonality and things like that. But I think if you can get to more sort of, I need to start selling a few more sort of items that are sort of your everyday, like not every day, you know, I'm not going to be selling OA stuff again, but items that would be bought every single day all year round, you know. That's the sort of items that I'm going to start focusing on as well and implementing them into the business. So, but yeah, I mean, that's some data that I've got from a few bad sales days that we've had recently. So every cloud has a silver lining, doesn't it? If I didn't
Yeah,
have any
definitely.
bad dips, I wouldn't have thought to myself, right, I need to protect myself from these dips a bit more and introduce some items that are going to sell better in the low peaks. You know, items that are selling all the time on Amazon, no matter if people, you know, haven't got as much money, they're sort of essential items that people have to have, so they get them anyway. Dog food, stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? I'm not necessarily saying that, but you have to buy that. That's not something you can't buy if you're a little bit short of money. You
Yeah,
know,
literally.
that's what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I think, yeah, it's definitely something to consider. I mean, I wouldn't go too wide. I think that's where people make mistakes, is shiny object
No.
syndrome. Oh, this person's doing well in grocery, I'm gonna do grocery. Oh, this person's doing well in toys, I'm gonna do toys. No, I'm
Yeah,
not, I'm not
yeah,
saying don't be category flipping, but just think maybe have a little bit of a broader. It's not so much you have a broader range of products, but you spread your inventory a bit more, particularly
yeah,
at the moment when the sales are lower. Right, rather than going, I'll buy 1,000 of them, I'll buy maybe 600 of them, and then 400, 200 of them, and 200 of them for the same pot of money,
yeah.
you know, and just broaden it out a bit. But then that comes with problems in terms of for wholesale. Certainly for wholesale buyers, you don't get the economies of scale, and you're going to be paying a higher price. So it's pros and cons to both. Pros and cons.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. When I say sort of diversifying, I just mean that it's going to be pretty much what we're doing now, but just introducing items that would probably have a better chance of selling a lot more frequently all year round, like just
Yeah,
bearing it in mind. But I definitely wouldn't go too far afield. I'm not going to start
yeah,
selling dog food for that example.
yeah, yeah. Exactly. And I think is what's really important is I don't know what you sell exactly, but I think what you sell should be something that you have an interest in. I'm a strong believer in that. You should have innate product knowledge because you have an interest in it, whether that be you use the products, you like the products, some maybe something you're interested in. I don't know, because I'm interested in technology. That's why I start technology, and
Yeah.
it gives me an innate product knowledge that you just don't get when you're buying things just looking on spreadsheets or looking on Helium or Keeper or whatever it is. If you're looking strictly on data, you don't necessarily have that innate product knowledge that you do. If it's something you've got an interest in, you don't know what's a good brand, you don't know what's going to sell and what people want and things like that, and you can't spot trends as easily.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do think that's a bit of a privilege, though. Like, as in, like, as in, like, when I started, I just need to start. I just need to make money. I just need to prove the business model works. Now I've proved it can work for sure. Now I can start going, what do I actually want to sell? And then I can start putting together some really, really nice stuff. You know. But to start with, I just wanted to. I was really passionate just to make it work. Just to make the business model work. But for sure, like once you know how to do it, I'm like, yeah, I can. I've got my knowledge in this, and I'm really passionate about that. So let's build a really, really cool brand around that or something. Or really, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. You do have that sort of innate ability if you're passionate about something to just know what the customer will want, don't you? Because you're thinking, what would I genuinely want? So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, do you private label? Have you thought about what you might want it to be, or where you want it to go with it, or
My private label brands ideas.
yeah,
Yeah. So I'm quite into my like moisturizers, my health and personal stuff. So like like Bulldog, the brand Bulldog.
yeah,
I use that all the time, like every day. But I also have like multiple like male like sort of health and personal care products. Like I've got like shit, mate. I've got shelf full. And I just love it. Like moisturizers, face cream. I know a lot of people are like yeah, like all that sort of stuff. I like it. Hand creams and stuff like that. I get quite dry hands. I like using hand cream and stuff. I'm quite passionate about that sort of stuff. So I'm really interested to test, say, a brand like that. Say like a competitor of Bulldog, for example. Like if the only reason they made that work was the branding. They were like Bulldog. They made it really cool, like a moisturizer for men that's like masculine and cool.
yeah,
That was their idea, wasn't it? So if I could have something, like not called Bulldog, but like something else, like Rhino. It's not going to be Rhino, but Rhino. Do you know what I mean? In a certain niche,
yeah.
whatever. I think, and all it is the marketing behind that. It's not really the cream inside it, as long as it's a good quality, as long as it's whatever, as long as it's up to a good standard. It's just the marketing campaigns behind that, isn't it? I mean, look, I don't know because I haven't done it, but as far as I'm aware, that's what it seems to be, and that's what I'm really interested to try out. It's very creative. Just try and launching a brand that's like just smashing a niche and just making it work. So that's what I'm expecting.
But that's really interesting. Exactly what I just said, though. You want to launch a product you have an interest in. You know what's good about that product. You know what's bad about that product. I think that's a fantastic way to launch a private label product, because I think what a lot of people do is they look online and they go, oh, dustpans are selling 5,000 units a week. I'm going to make my own dustpans. And it's like no one's got that practical interest in that. And I think that's how you build a business with real purpose and value.
Yeah.
Because the private label, obviously, we're going to start it on Amazon. Most people do, but it evolves off Amazon, doesn't it? And it becomes, the Shopify, your own web store, a brand that's potentially got genuine resale value is one that you have an interest in and a passion for, and you're not just selling it because it sells lots of units.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. So no, I 100% see what you mean there. I completely agree. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that sort of thing. I think that'd be cool. It's interesting to experiment as well. As I say, it's going to be nice. I think once you get to a certain stage, like there's a lot of really experienced sellers in this group, once you're at a certain stage where you've got 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 grand in the bank, you've got credit cards, 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 grand. You can literally, I remember when I started PL, I was like, oh, I haven't got enough money to input 5 grand to input. I was like, that is so much money. And now it's like, we're in the privileged position to be able to afford to test this stuff, and when you're at that stage, once you've got your regular income, you've got to pat yourself on the back, because you're at that stage, like we're at that stage. There's tens and tens of people in this group that are at that stage where they're making their regular income from Amazon. And then you can just test this stuff, just like I just spoke about. I can just say, right, let's just put 5 grand there, and test it, And what's the worst that's going to happen? Hopefully, with my knowledge, break even. You've got to do your own due diligence, but hopefully break even, worst case. So you can sort of deploy like 5 grand there to test products, test a brand. And that's just what I'm quite excited to do, really.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds a really interesting journey. And so my final question for you, in fact, I'll just read out what Sean said, because I know Sean's another guy who's doing really well in this business, in this space. And
of course he is, yeah.
He's a bit more like me in terms of the the RA and the warehousing and stuff. He wants to start up a business for 3 years, and now we want to scale the business. I don't need to slow the business down to get any more units or security. He's also leveraging people's homes. I know something he does really well is getting people in using their homes, and I think he's going to have an amazing Q4 for certain.
Sorry, man, I was reading the comments.
Did you say? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, I was reading the comments.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I know. I can't see who the last comment's from, actually. It doesn't show me on there. But someone said, also a story and a passion is great for a brand. Yeah, absolutely, because a brand is literally the story. It's the passion. It's the people behind it. That's what makes a brand a brand. People don't. There's a lot of product that is a brand is essentially made in the same factory as non-branded stuff, or with the same people. So it's the brand that gives it value, and it's the story that gives it the brand. So my very final question for you, where do you kind of see yourself in either a year, kind of 2 years, 5 years? Where do you think you'll be?
So which one do you want? Year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? What do you want?
Pick a year. Have you thought about it? How far have you planned?
A year, I want to be on track for the million, with my current business, the current brand that we're building. And I want to have our brand, our bundles, whatever. I want them to be on a different level, really. You know what I mean? I want them to be like, almost like competition can't impact us. I want them really, really good. And I can't really describe, obviously, exactly how that is, but I want to just create much more premium products. And I want to be on track for a million, and I want to be traveling around the world as well. Because I'm going to Portugal next month, and I'm going to book Mexico when I get back. I want to be like making sure I'm traveling and making the business run like that. YouTube, I'm hitting quite up. I want to grow that quite big. So I quite like my YouTube stuff. That's a year. But yeah, 3 years, I would like sort of maybe a couple of brands, a couple of PL brands as well. Maybe another company in the Amazon space. I'm not too sure, like a separate company. I'm related to e-commerce. And then, I don't know, I might have a warehouse at that stage. I don't know, depending on the brands, because to hold all the brands in and prep all the brands in. Don't know. That's probably, and then, quite interesting property as well. I've got a property training course, a 5-day event that I'm going to early next month, before I go to Portugal in Peterborough. So I'm doing a 5-day intensive training there, and like buy-to-lets and stuff. So I want a bit of 3 years. I'd like to have a bit of a portfolio, like buy-to-let, just like a few, 3 or 5 or something like that. So that's my sort of plans for the next few years. Yeah.
Sounds like you got it all figured out.
Sounds
good.
If it works.
If it works, yeah.
That's see.
I noticed Sean said if you want to scale, you need a team behind you. You definitely do to scale. You need people whether they be physical in terms of, warehouse and staff, or whether they be outsourced people. But you definitely do need people to scale, and certainly to give a business more value as well. Having people around you is going to be really, really helpful for that, because if you are the business and there is nothing else about it, then that doesn't really give a business much value from an investment perspective, does it? Because if you
100%,
stop, or not even talking, if something horrible goes wrong, if you just decide I don't want to do it anymore, that's it. The business is done, isn't it? It's gone. So
100%. I mean, if I was looking at my team now, which is like like an outsourced team, really, pretty much, and then I've got my sort of second virtual assistant sort of taken on. It's probably like, when I think about the actual people that are making my business work, it's probably like 12 people. So you know what I mean, like that, and that's my team, that including outsourced. That's like accountants and prep team and virtual assistants and stuff.
Yeah.
And you think about, the business wouldn't be able to run without all of them, and it's quite crazy to think that
that's really interesting. I think a lot of people actually probably don't realize how many people are involved in their business already. Maybe not directly, but if you think about all the services you use, like you say, the accountancy services, the prep services, fulfillment with Amazon, how many people work at Amazon itself. What you probably don't realize, you probably already actually have a bit of a team around you to make your business a
100%.
success. You just don't quite have it as direct as some others do.
100%. Like you're in my team, Matt. Like, no, because the advice that you give me and stuff like that, and we speak, and like, you know what I mean? And like, there's a lot of people that are in my team, as in like, even in Facebook groups and stuff, because I some questions need answering. And if I don't know the answer to that, I need someone to answer that. So, your team could also be part of Facebook. I know that's not what you meant, but it is,
Yeah, but it is in a way. Yeah, it's all these people in your network. Yeah, your network.
Yeah,
definitely.
Like Natalie's well and truly in my team. Like, I consider her in my team. Like she's my coach.
Yeah, definitely. I noticed Hansen said he's got a 3-month sabbatical booked for September. He's going traveling with just his laptop, currently systemizing things to keep it running while I'm away. So
nice.
Yeah, fair play.
He's got a warehouse, isn't he? Has he got a warehouse?
I'm not sure. Do you have a warehouse? Let us know. But it sounds,
that's impressive, as he systemized that so he can go away for 3 months.
Yeah.
Nice.
Someone's just joined this afternoon. Yeah, I'm afraid we're at the end. 2 people have just jumped on.
It'll be on YouTube.
Annie, I'm afraid yeah, Johnny, I'm afraid you're a bit late. We're about to wrap it up.
Oh, that's a shame. It'll be on YouTube.
Yeah, it'll be on YouTube. Yeah. So Hansen's just at home and prepping. So
Oh, he's prepping from home, is he?
Yeah, prepping from home probably. Yeah. Home and prep. So I'm guessing he does home and a prep center as well. Yeah. Again, part of your network though. You've got a team around you.
Yeah.
Not direct,
Hansen,
but
let me know where you're traveling, and we might meet up on our travels.
Yeah. I was thought that'd be great. If you had like you could hire like an Airbnb somewhere, and then like all like the Amazon sellers could like come and go. Do you know what I mean? Just for like a couple of weeks. I'd love to just hire like a villa like in the south of France, something for like 2 months, 3 months, and like all the sellers could just come and work out of it and stuff, and just bounce off each other. That'd be really nice, like because I always thought the WeWork concept was pretty good, but a kind of a WeWork concept for like startup Amazon sellers with a bit of warehousing or something. That'd be good.
Definitely. Yeah, that is a good idea. Yeah, I mean, well, I've got an apartment in Portugal for a few weeks next week. If anyone wants to come over there,
there you go. An offer you can't refuse there. If anyone's interested.
I did already invite one, Sarah, and they were meant to come, but I think they failed, so I won't say any names. I'm not very happy with them.
No names. So is it Annie who's joining us from Jordan? I hope you're having a lovely time there. Hansen's going to Bali, so
yeah, I speak to Annie a lot.
All right, okay, hang on. We're not turning this into who's going to the most amazing destination for the summer holidays now, because that's just going to make me jealous.
Yeah, are you not going away?
I'm going to Spain in May, but that's about it for me.
Going to Peterborough to do RA.
Yeah, maybe a bit of city hopping, doing some RA. So nowhere exotic for me. We were supposed to be going to Dubai for past 2 years, but we ended up getting the money back on that because of COVID. So a bit disappointed. We never rebooked anywhere this year because we were still very uncertain about what was going to happen, and we just couldn't be bothered with the whole faff of booking it and then it getting cancelled or postponed, or even if it was a go ahead and it was just a bit rubbish because you had to have masks and stuff. I mean, the way it's gone, obviously, it's pretty much seems like it's relaxed a lot. But at the time last year, we were still very uncertain about where it was going to be and what was going to happen. So
yeah, I was meant to go away about 6 weeks ago, but that got cancelled because of the war, actually. So it took me 2 years to book it because of COVID. And then I booked it, and then the war messed it up. So I was like, yeah, there was something else.
There's always something in there.
Yeah, no. But obviously we're very blessed. So obviously I don't worry about it too much.
Donna's off to Spain, but I'm liking Cindy. Cindy says she's in Croydon, so don't be jealous of Croydon. Croydon's actually not too bad, you know. I've been to Croydon. It's
I
not
don't know
too
if I've ever been.
I've been.
I used to live in Tunbridge Wells, which is really close to Croydon. It's like
That's pretty close. Yeah, Tunbridge Wells.
Yeah, but yeah, have you been to Tunbridge Wells?
I have been to. I've been RA in everywhere. I've been
Have
everywhere.
you been RA?
I've been to Tunbridge Wells. Yes, I have. Yes.
I used to live there. I lived there for 25 years.
Probably before I knew you, I imagine. But yeah, no.
You've been to East Sussex, like Eastbourne and stuff.
Yeah. I've been all over.
No way.
Okay. Cindy says don't bother, it's a dump. So okay, we'll bother them.
No way. That's crazy. I can't believe you literally go everywhere, don't you? Wow.
Yeah, if there's a deal, there's a deal.
Deal's a deal. Getting their hands soaked.
Definitely. Right. I hope you enjoyed today's session. Thank you very much, Hayden, for coming on. It was really, really good to chat, and it was actually some I enjoy it when we just kind of the chat just flows. It was really, we have had a lot of really deep and meaningful conversation, I think we could call it.
I think we could write a book after this.
I think we could. No, it was great to have you. Thanks for coming on, and I wish you all the success with your Amazon business, and hopefully I can be part of the journey as well. And obviously everyone in this group. But Hayden's doing really, really well with his bundles, his Amazon business. He's got some big plans, so I'm really interested to follow his journey. And if you want to give yourself a shout out on the YouTube and stuff, if you want to put that in the comments and stuff. I know Hayden's got his own YouTube channel and stuff, so if you're interested in following his journey, then you can definitely catch him on there as well. Yeah,
it's just my name, my YouTube. So
cool. If you want to post a link in the thing afterwards, then feel free. But I hope you enjoyed today's session. Thank you very much. That's all from me today. Next week we've got Johnny joining us. We're going to be discussing a lot of warehousing and stuff, so that'll be one not to miss. Nice. So see you all next week.
Awesome. Cheers, mate. That's really good.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.